going to get right into this. It seems as though all hell broke loose, in the last, I don't know, 5 days. So, okay, let's start at the beginning. I'm out in Connecticut. I'm with Gilbert Melendez. We just got a couple cups of coffee. We're headed back to the hotel. We just finished up. So he gets a FaceTime call, and it's Nate Diaz. So Gilbert answers the call. What's up, Nate? Well, I'm sitting right there. There's nothing I could do. I'm right there with Gilbert. And Nate doesn't know I'm there. He doesn't know he can be overheard, but he tells Gilbert, I'm headed to practice. I'm fighting Masvidal, and tonight's the first workout. Now, that may not be news to you guys right now, but let me rewind. Where we were when this happened, as MMA world, where we were at, was Colby was fighting Kamaru. Somewhere that falls through. And I don't think it was on Kamaru's side. I believe the rumors were that Colby was the one that was unhappy, was holding that up. So it looked as though Masvidal would be stepping in and fighting Usman. Then all of a sudden the FaceTime calls come. Everybody's out. Masvidal's in with Nate Diaz. So this was a real whirlwind. But it was very interesting to me for a number of reasons. Love the fight, all excited, all of that nice stuff. But as you look ahead, I'm going, wait. The way this would generally work is if Kamaru is to fight Colby, and that's on top of a bill somewhere, and the championship is on the line because Kamaru's bringing it, and Colby is out, generally, Kamaru's still in. Kamaru's spot is in stone, engraved, and is going to take place, but now they need somebody to put in the passenger seat. That's generally how we see this. We don't usually see the whole fight just come off the card. And the reason that's relevant is because it is a major question of, well, what are you going to do with Kamaru next? And by the way, what are you going to do with Colby next? Usually that would never be a question because Kamaru would just get a new opponent. We would know that, and now you just got to figure out what to do with the other guy, in this case, Colby. Because they've both been removed, and they're both the best answer for each other, it still seems to me like maybe you try to unfry that egg. Get that back together. I don't know who else would have business with Kamaru. I don't know who else would have business with Colby. And now they're both available. So it's just an interesting situation. That's only the first of it. Somewhere along the way, and I don't know what happened here, but somewhere along the way, Colby and Masvidal get into a beef. Now, before any of you go, well, yeah, they're fighters. That's what they do. These guys are teammates. They used to be roommates. They are extremely good friends. And they got to see each other every single day in the training room. So to get into a public dispute is awkward. Can we agree with that? Okay. Go to a couple days later, Poirier fights Khabib. Post-fight press conference, Poirier, who's also a teammate of Masvidal and Colby, weighs in on this and took some pretty damn direct shots at Colby. So it seems, what a mess. Then you all show up the next day at 3 and you gotta head to the locker room and change your shirts and put your gear on and walk out on the mat. I mean, it's a little bit awkward. So I spoke with Colby. I asked him some of these questions. I want you guys to listen to that now. All right, respect to that. So I guess where we're at is Nate Diaz is going to fight Masvidal. Is there any part of Masvidal now being the headliner, which in fairness was your spot? Is there any resentment there? Is that, hey, good for you, and when do we start training? I mean, where's that all stand?
As far as him, there's no resentment because I could care less. I'm a better athlete. I work harder, Chael. I bang harder chicks. I make bigger paychecks. Why would I care about anything he's doing? He's fighting for the journeyman title. They said the BMF. They meant the JMF, the journeyman motherfucking title. So he's 50-50 in his last 4 fights, Chael. He's 2-2. If you look at his last 10, he's 5-5. So he's a jobber. He's a bum. I could care less what he's doing. But all that matters is the business between me and Marty Fake Newsman at the top of the division for the world championship fight. I'm not worried about that Stockton soy boy Nate Diaz. What's he 1-1 in the last 3 years? He got wiped up on the mat by Rafael Dos Anjos. He got wiped out by Dunglam Kim. These are 2 guys that I completely outclassed, Chael. And So those guys they're irrelevant in the division. They're fighting for gatekeeper and journeyman titles.
I'm just wondering though, because I did hear some of the comments that Dustin Poirier made after, his loss to Khabib, and I'm just wondering, when you show up to practice, and these guys show up to practice, is things weird? I mean, they're your teammates, but you are the champ. How's that work?
Yeah, things are definitely going to be weird, and it comes out of jealousy and bitterness, Uncle Chael. These guys, they're wishing they could do what I do, and they're mad that where I'm at and what I do for a living, and they wish they could make the paychecks. So, there is going to be a little jealousy. There might be a brawl in ATT, we might come fist to blows. So, I'm prepared for anything. The thing is that these guys are talking a lot, but they know what would happen if they step to me. I beat their ass. So, I'm not really too worried about them. They got to worry about me.
So how does that work? I mean, let's say practice is tomorrow at 3:00, and you show up and they're going to be there. I mean, do you guys say something? You just get on the mat? Do you stay on separate sides of the room? What's that look like?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because, we kind of all train at the same time. The pro classes at certain times of the day at American Top Team. So I'm sure Dan Lambert, my agent, is going to figure it out and figure out time schedules where we could be in there at different times. But, I'm not going to be too worried about it. I'm not looking to avoid anybody. If they want to understand that, it's just business and they don't understand that, then, we can settle it, man. I got, I'm the best fighter in the world. I'm not going to be scared to fight some dude in the gym if you're jealous of what I'm doing. So, we'll see. We might cross each other in the bathroom, Uncle Chael, and I can't promise that I'm going to be a nice guy.
All right, there it was. I mean, I don't think I could ask questions any clearer, and I do not think Colby could answer them any more direct. I mean, it looks like it's going to be an awkward training environment. And I will tell you, that interests me. I'm interested in that drama for whatever reason. And these things for a team can be very detrimental. I mean, they really can be detrimental. A lot of teams are very open that, hey, we're all competitors, and we all are in the same organization doing the same thing, and we're likely to cross paths. And when that happens, we'll go out there and compete. And we'll be right back here on Monday at 3:00 and help get each other ready for the next thing. I mean, that's a very real thing. I'll give you an example because it probably sounds a little weird when you talk about combat, but when I grew up in wrestling rooms, that's combat too. But you openly have to wrestle off against your teammate to see who's going to be varsity, to see who's going to be junior varsity. I mean, that on day one when you walk in there, not maybe we're going to run into each other. For sure, we are going to go at it in front of anybody that wants to watch. And whoever wins will get the spot, and whoever doesn't, kind of goes from there. So it is a real thing. I mean, it's a real thing where you can have teams that go out and compete with one another. I just will look back. You will remember John Jones and Rashad when they were both training with each other, both making their way through the division, looking as though, hey, we're probably going to run into each other. Rashad was the champion. John was on his way to being a number one contender. But what do? I guess you got to go fight. But that created a problem to the point that Rashad left the gym. You'll have other teams, and the teams have changed so rapidly. I'll go back to MMA when I very first started. When I very first started, there was 3 guys in the room: Dan Henderson, Randy Couture, myself. That was it. Somewhere along the way, we got a 4th and a 5th body, and slowly we were up to about 6 guys. And that was all that would come into practice. And the way practice looked is every day we would get together at the same time. And every day somebody would eventually say, big gloves or little gloves. We'd look around the room and do a popular vote. If more guys wanted big gloves, we put on big gloves. If more guys we put on little gloves. Then we walked out on the mat and we fought. We sparred. And then we go home. And this worked. We had no coach. There was no formal. It was just a time to be there, bring your gear. And then we went. Randy was the world champion. Dan was the top star in Pride. In comes Matt Lindland. He gets the #1 world ranking. Next thing you know, Evan Tanner joins the team. He goes on and wins a world championship. And plus, we had a bunch of up-and-comers. Point I'm getting, it was working. Now, that would be silly right now to train that way. It would be silly to not have a coach, to not come out, do a warm-up of some level, a stretch of some level, work on specific drills and techniques each day. that a coach is showing you and then walking around the room and fine-tuning them and making sure that you understand them. That would be weird to not do that. But back then, that concept hadn't even come up. I remember where we were. We were in Las Vegas. Randy lost a fight. Matt was on the same card. Matt lost. And Henderson was in Japan, and Henderson lost. I think he lost to Vandalay. The point is, 3 guys in the room. We're all on top of the world. All got beat in the same weekend. And Randy said, that's it. We're changing everything. We're bringing in a coach. We're going to have official practices. We will officially have segments of the from the warm-up to the instruction to the drilling to the hard goes to the conditioning to the cool down. And that's how we're going to do it. And I remember when he told me, that's weird. That's a weird thing to do, but that's what happened. We had to go out and find a coach. MMA coaches just weren't around. There wasn't even MMA gyms around. And we were one of the top gyms in the world just because we were one of the only gyms in the world. So at any rate, as I watched the evolution of MMA happen, it is a very real thing where teammates could run into one another. Colby and Masvidal seem to be getting along just fine, and we're openly saying, no, we would compete with each other. We do it every day anyway. What's the difference if we did it in front of the world and we got paid for it? Something along these lines. But now there's heat. I mean, there's an issue, and Colby doesn't appear to care, which I do think is fun. And I mean, let's see where it goes. Is somebody going to get hard feelings? Is somebody not going to come back? Are they going to try to do a mutiny and have Colby removed from the I have no idea. I'm purely speculating, but there's something going on there. And in many ways, it's fun to watch.